years later from the Metal Gear Solid book reading. If you haven't watched the first two, maybe you should, but if not, that's okay. But I am going to be continuing from page 24. That's where we left off last time. Alright. If you're new here, I hope you get cozy. I hope you get some good sleep. And I appreciate you coming by to the ASMR YouTube. Okay. Let's get started. There we go. Alright. So, he did so, but then a soft, whirring sound above him diverted his attention. A small, strange device that resembled a life buoy was flying not 5 meters away from him. When Snake saw the camera pointed at him, he knew exactly what it was. Cypher. On instinct, he raised his Beretta and started to shoot at it, but the thing jerked and zipped away as if it were a hummingbird. Snake cursed himself and holstered his gun, but there wasn't much good a tranquilizer round could do to a Cypher anyway. He punched the codec and waited for Otacon's face to appear on the screen. The ship appears to be under their control. The men have Russian gear, but I haven't been able to find out anything about their motive or origin. I know who they are, Otacon said somberly. You do? We've ID'd the old man. Who is he? Sergei Gerlukrovich. Snake blinked. Gerlukrovich. He's one of Ocelot's allies. Yeah, the crew colonel. He's the one Ocelot was supposed to meet up with after Shadow Moses. Then, they're after Metal Gear. Everything's changed. This is not going to be as simple as we thought. You could say that, and I saw a surveillance remote just now. It looked like a Cypher. A Marine Cypher T. No, Army. Otacon wiped his brow. First the Marines, then the Russians, now the Army. You're right, this isn't gonna be simple. Snake, there's something I have to tell you. We didn't dig up this info about the new Metal Gear. Not on our own. Not like usual. How did you find out then? It was a tip. An anonymous tip. Anonymous. You never trusted those. Why would you now? I, have a younger sister. A stepsister. We have different parents. Snake wondered what that had to do with it, but Otacon continued. I only knew her for 2 years. You never mentioned her before, so... The sender of the tip was EE. EE. Her name is Emma, but I always call her EE. Emma Emmerich. Otacon sighed. Yeah, it just caught my eye, you know. I figured it was a coincidence, but I couldn't get it out of my mind. There's really no one out there who knows about her. When was the last time you saw her? Over 10 years ago. Think it's a trap to lure us out of here? I don't know. After I got the tip, I did break into the Pentagon system to get confirmation. Okay, watch your back, Snake. Maybe I screwed up. his corridor, and finally, below the deck, he found himself in the massive 3-level engine room on the starboard side. The place was extremely noisy, with rumbling machinery, so it was difficult to detect if any of the Russians were nearby. Snake moved slowly through the upper level, past a large freight lift that traversed the entire depth of the ship, and eventually came to an alcove containing more vertical metal lockers. Something caught his eye on the floor, so he cautiously approached the lockers to get a better look. Blood seeping from one of the lockers. Snake readied the Beretta, grasped the locker handle, and opened the door. The recently murdered body of a Marine tumbled out and collapsed on the floor like a rag doll. Snake cursed under his breath. Fuck. He started to move the corpse into a more dignified resting position when he heard the sound of the lift stop on his level. There was no time to do anything but hide, so he stepped into the empty locker and shut the door. He grimaced as he stood in the dead Marine's pool of blood, but there was no alternative. As with all the lockers of that type, there were 3 horizontal ventilation slits and the door through which Snake could peer into the room. Sure enough, a Russian commando came around the corner from the lift to investigate. The soldier saw the dead body of a Marine on the floor. He aimed his assault rifle at the body and slowly stepped towards it. The commando nudged the Marine with his boot to make sure that the man was dead. Snake held his breath. The Russian was just on the other side of the locker door. Snake watched as the soldiers scanned the room and finally moved on. Snake breathed, but waited a minute for the Russian to gain more distance. Snake quietly opened the locker and stepped out over the dead Marine. He worked his way down to the middle level, made a quick reconnaissance to ensure that there were no more guards, and then descended to the lower level. Near the gargantuan turbine, the way out and down to the bowels of the ship, there was a sealed watertight hatch at the end of the corridor. The codex spurted on. Snake? Yeah. There's more Semtex in front of you. Do you see it? Sure enough, there were 2 bundles of explosives attached to the opposite sides of the corridor. Yeah, I don't see a fire extinguisher anywhere though. Think I can crawl under the beams. Do you see the thing with the blinking green lights right next to the explosives? Snake squinted and pinpointed the small control box attached to one of the bundles. Yeah. Destroy that, and the sensors stop functioning. But you can't get in close enough to touch it, so you'll have to shoot it. The Beretta's knockout rounds won't work. Did you find another weapon? I picked up that woman's USB. I'll use that. Signed off as Snake checked Olga's handgun and reloaded it with the stolen ammunition. He then stood in a weaver stance and aimed at the Semtex control box. If he missed and hit the explosives instead of the target, it would be adios amigo. He wished he had some pentazimine and a mild antidepressant that also had a calming effect, and improve one's nerves. Snake found that the stuff improved his aim, but in this case, he had to make do without. He lined up the shot and squeezed the trigger. The USB noisily recoiled, but the control box was history. No more blinking light or infrared pinpoint dots on the explosive packs. The problem now, though, was that the loud gunshot may have attracted more commandos. Snake rushed down the corridor, turned the wheel on the sealed hatch, and opened it, and stepped through. Snake descended to the deck too and silently entered a corridor, just as a booming voice on the ship's PA system announced, "Verrazano Bridge checkpoint passed. All non-essential personnel report to the holds in 10 minutes time for the scheduled briefing session with the Commandant. You are ordered to continue manning your post until that time." Directly from the game. Damn, he thought, we're running out of time. He was on the port side of the deck, according to the ship's blueprints that Autogun had provided, readily available on the codec screen. Snake needed to get to the starboard side in order to access the cargo holds. The corridor was U-shaped and was approximately 60 meters long. Normally that wouldn't be much of a problem, but he had no idea how many of the enemies he might encounter. The bright illumination was also a detriment to the successful stealth maneuvering. Snake considered shooting out the light bulbs along the corridor, but he didn't want to waste the knockout rounds in the Beretta, and the USB was too noisy. Nevertheless, he hugged the wall and slid along it quickly, his eyes and ears for any untoward movement or sounds. As luck would have it, he came to a door marked electrical room. He shrugged, tried the door, and found it unlocked. Snake stepped inside and studied the banks of the circuit breakers. If he wanted, he could douse the lights throughout the entire tanker, but that would arouse too much suspicion. The Commandos might think they've been discovered and would begin slaughtering the Marines. Best to simply shut off the electricity on deck 2. He found the appropriate circuit breaker box, flipped the switches, and the room was plunged into darkness. Snake slipped on his night vision goggles, turned, and stepped out the room. He heard voices in the distance. The Russians on the level were obviously concerned about the sudden blackout. The footsteps were headed his way. Before he had time to hide, 2 men rounded the far corner and faced him. Snake was ready. He fired 2 shots from the Beretta at a distance of 10 meters and hit both targets in the shoulders. The men went down, and Snake rushed forward to head off. Snake was ready, fired 2 shots from the Beretta at a distance of 10 meters and hit both targets in the shoulders. The men went down, and Snake rushed forward to head off any reinforcements that might be behind them, but the corridor leading to the subboard was empty. Snake continued along the level until he finally came to the hatch he needed. But as he approached, the wheel began to turn by itself. Someone was on the other side, and he was coming through. Snake slipped behind a wall into the alcove near the hatch, readied his weapon, and crouched. He heard the hatch open. 3 Commandos entered and shut it behind them. One soldier was talking on the radio. Snake's Russian was adequate enough to understand the conversation. "Colonel, we have sealed the stern hatch." "All right," Old Man Lukovic's voice. "The lift is also under our control." "Good." "We're on the foredeck, about to descend into the holds." "Sir, the Marine commander has started his speech. We will complete the preparations before the end of the speech. All communications to the holds have now been severed." No one is aware of our presence, except for the men that we have already taken care of. One of the other guards chuckled. Let no one down into the holds until we are out, Krulukrovich ordered. Yes, sir. We will secure your exit with our lives if necessary. There is one more thing. Yes, sir. Krulukrovich paused a moment. My daughter, keep her safe. Yes, sir. Snake frowned. The Marines were being sealed inside the holds. Something bad was going down. What happened to the lights? One of the Russians asked. I don't know. Use your night vision. The men began to move along the corridor towards the alcove where Snake was hidden. He kept perfectly still as they walked past him. But one of the three men turned his head and looked into space. Hey! The man shouted, swinging his assault rifle around in Snake's direction. But Snake had equipped himself with a USB. No more Mr. Sandman. He had to play for keeps now. The handgun erupted and the soldier fell back against the corridor wall. His chest was now blooming spread of redness. The second of the three men turned to fire at Snake, while the first one had the sense to dash forward, out of the alcove's line of sight. Snake took down the second man with another round from the USB, this time the Commando's forehead. Now, however, the remaining lone soldier had taken a position somewhere down the corridor. Spray fire from the Russians' AKS-74U pinned Snake into the alcove. He waited until the Commandos ceased firing and then reached into his bag for the frag grenade he had pinched from Olga. Snake pulled down the pin with his teeth and then tossed the grenade around the alcove corner. He heard the thing hit the floor and rattle as it rolled towards the enemy soldier. The commando actually cried out in alarm, but it was too late for him to escape. The blast shook the deck. There was no more machine gun fire after that. Snake emerged from the alcove and approached the sealed hatch. The codex snapped on. Snake, are you in yet? It's taking longer than I expected. We've already passed the Verrazano Bridge. Alright, we'll use another recovery point. They may be planning to change course. What? The exits to the deck are all sealed. What are they planning? If they get Metal Gear, we're going right off the fringe. Snake turned the wheel, opened the door, and looked inside to make sure it was clear. Went through and shut the door behind him. A lone Russian commando had been waiting the whole time. Oh, watching the whole thing. He had avoided the grenade blast and witnessed the infiltrator go through the hatch to the holds. The orders were either to keep anyone else from going in, or keep them from coming out. The commando went to the hatch and turned the wheel to the lock position, but then the sound of clicking footsteps caused him to turn, his weapon ready. The man behind him was tall. He had long golden hair, a mustache, and was wearing a gray duster coat and cowboy boots. With spurs the sorts of the clinks, the commando sighed with relief and lowered his weapon. Oh, Shalashaska. Revolver Ocelot nodded. Why are you here? We thought you were with the colonel, the commando said. Ocelot didn't answer. He merely raised his 6-shooter and shot the Russians with the 2 rounds in the head and in the chest. The gunslinger then stepped over the body and confirmed that the hatch was sealed tightly. Yes, he said to the corpse. The Colonel will be joining you soon, comrade. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening. And I hope you have an amazing good night's rest. Bye everybody. See you in the next video. And let me know if you enjoyed.